Seen from inside the mind of my mind. Nothing arrives, it bends what I find. Light has no path, it breaks in the air. And something in thought lets go of the hold. Nothing is landing, nothing is still. Something is turning against my will. Something open, something alive inside the mind of my mind. Something open, something alive inside the mind of my mind. Everything shifts, everything moves. What I couldn't name is already true. From inside the mind of my mind. Time doesn't pass, it slips out of line. The light isn't seen, it spills out of view. Before it comes through. Nothing can settle, nothing can stay. Something is pulling everything away. Something opens, something alive inside the mind of my mind. Something opens, something alive inside the mind of my mind. Nothing is still, nothing can feel what just change. In a spiral, somewhere between what breaks and what binds. I lose recognition of the shape of my mind. Something opens, something alive inside the mind of my mind. Something opens, something alive inside the mind of my mind. What comes in, everything alive. What I couldn't see was never outside, just moving within the mind of my mind. Disconnect before they can stay. Shapes lose their pull, tilt out of place, and space starts refusing the idea of frame. Nothing can anchor, nothing can stay. Something beneath me gives way. Everything warps, everything slides. No point of reference left to define. Everything bends out of design. What felt like one thing divides us. No origin, no access to find. Angles collapse before they align. Light turns inward without any fall, and meaning detaches from structure at all. Nothing can settle, nothing can hold. Something is shifting, I'm controlled. Everything fractures, everything skews. Nothing is stable, nothing is true. Everything drifts out of its line. What I was hoping was never mine. No sense of From within, patterns emerge, not by design, not by return. Shapes start aligning without being placed, and something in motion begins to behave. Nothing is fixed, nothing is known. Still there's a rhythm I don't control. Everything settles into a line, not how it was, but still it aligns. Everything shifts and starts to connect. What made no sense begins to reflect. No clear direction, no visible guide, yet every movement falls into time. Light finds a structure without any source, and meaning returns without being forced. Nothing is stable, nothing is sure. Still something holds, something endures. Everything settles into a line, not how it was, but still it aligns. Everything moves, nothing is lost. What felt like chaos reveals it had form. No center, no frame, yet nothing's the same. Everything drifting now moves as one. What had no pattern is already one. Everything settles without being still. Nothing is broken, nothing is real. Everything shifting, yet somehow defined. What I resisted was already alive. No division, contours give way. Nothing defined can choose to stay. Surfaces loosen, release their claim, and nothing responds to any name. No position, no control, something slipping through the hole. I don't end, I don't begin. Something other settles in. Boundaries fading, no longer bind, no separation left behind. was stable won't return. Distance dissolves, line disappears. I lose the sense of what was here. No edge, no face, no time, no place. Everything thinning without a trace. I can't locate where I was based. Again, again, it opens, it bends. Again inside, again the same. Nothing returning, yet never unchanged. Motion repeating without a source. Circles unfolding along their course. Over and under, through and between. Something continues when nothing has been. Again, again, it turns, descends. No first movement, no final sign. Only the pull of a pattern in time. Echo on echo without a seam. Drifting inside an unfinished dream. Again, again, it opens, it bends. Again, it turns, descends. Over and under, through and between. Something repeating what can't be seen. Again, round into round, low into low. Where it is going, I do not know. Again, again, it opens, it bends. Again, it turns, descends. Everything looping, everything moves. Almost, but not restored. A fracture flickers through the cores. Movement catches on its own delay, and every measure starts to sway. close to holding, close to clear. It gathers, then gives way again, again, not this time. Traces assembling, then erase. A doubled current thins in place. Markers reappear, then drift apart, and duration stalls within the spark. Near coherence, near the thread, a hidden rupture runs ahead. It gathers, then gives way, leans toward order, then decays again. Again. No movement, yet something goes. No distance, yet something flows. Unmeasured, unchanged, still. Still within, no direction, no need. No surface, no depth, no presence, unformed, unnamed, still within, no motion, no proof before. Before laughter still. No return. No loss. No crossing. Before form, before